Hey YouTube, today is gonna be freaking awesome because I finally get to talk about the legendary noise punk band Hot Snakes. Hot Snakes' new record is titled Jericho Sirens. First off, I cannot believe that we are getting a new Hot Snakes record. I thought we were never gonna get a new one. There has been a 14-year gap between records, so it has been a long wait. For me, post-hardcore revival is about the greatest thing to ever exist. But first off, growing up on post-hardcore, Drive Like Jehu was one of the most essential bands for me. Though sadly, by the time I was listening to Drive Like Jehu, they were broken up. So I essentially found both Drive Like Jehu and Hot Snakes at the same time. Hot Snakes is the spiritual successor to Drive Like Jehu. So, Hot Snakes still carry the torch of post-hardcore, but they add this simpler punk edge versus Jehu's progressive punk spunk onslaught. But Hot Snakes' punk edge is tarnished by noise, garage, and surfer punk, creating quite the Molotov cocktail of musical magniloquence. Hot Snakes have, until today, 3 classic records, which all 3 of these records I consider classic post-hardcore records. Essential post-hardcore records, even. Giving Hot Snakes quite the consistent catalog. Going into this record, I was a little bit worried because Hot Snakes have quite a defined sound. And as these musicians grow older, they pick up new influences along the way. Meaning, a 14-year gap in records might mean that the band is going to be spitting out a completely different product than the consumers, us, are used to. Like, honestly, I'd be terrified if they tried to make another Drive Like Jehu record. It just probably wouldn't work. As much as I'd love to hear it. Okay, so let's talk about the album. Let's get straight to the point. On this new record, Hot Snakes retained everything that makes them good. I wouldn't say that this album is straight off the heels of their noisiest record, Audit in Progress. But for me, this new record, Jericho Sirens, fits very snugly in between Suicide Invoice and Audit in Progress. Heck, I don't know, this album might even be just a perfect mix of all 3 albums put together, when you really boil it down. First off, the band on this record sounds great. And Rick's vocals sound very, very stimulated from all that Drive Like Jehu touring they've been doing. Rick has kind of come back yelling his head off after Obits. I wasn't sure if he was trying to rest his voice. Maybe you heard his voice yelling. I don't know, but he's back yelling his freaking head off again. And I freaking love it. His voice has always been really rough around the edges, but there's this certain Hot Snakes tone and he's just nailing it. The first song really starts off banging. It really puts the surfer in this record. I mean, if you're gonna have a surfer on the front of your record, there better be some freaking surf rock on it. The first song is I Need a Doctor, and this song is ferocious. The first song is your first impression of this 14-year gap, and it really is like a trip down memory lane. It's got all that classic, bouncy, stompy Hot Snakes drumming, with all those wacky, slicing, dissonant leads under it, and it's all an onslaught of catchy, curvy grooves. What I get lyrically from this song is it's like kind of like a sarcastic stab at how hard it is to get healthcare, good healthcare in America. Especially as he's getting older in age and his body is falling apart. I love how Hot Snakes is right back on their snark. And all their satire comes through here in spades on this record, especially as we go into Candid Cameras. My interpretation of the lyrics in this song are how readily available it is to just film your whole entire life and get distracted in it. Not that I would know anything about that. And of course, that looming big brother is bigger than ever. Bigger brother. But yeah, what I love about Candid Cameras is it sounds so Audit in Progress. It's so noisy and it just sounds off. But it's always just so catchy. It's kind of just like getting your dance on at a family party, you know, but then the alcohol kind of starts kicking in and you're kind of losing your balance and you don't really got your flow of things anymore, but somehow you're still making it look good, probably because everybody else in the room is also drunk. And then, of course, you know they're going to freaking post it on Facebook and embarrass you later. The third song, Why Don't It Sink In, is kind of like something I've never heard from Hot Snakes before. It's one of the most freaked out songs I've ever heard from them. And maybe it's even the most aggressive Hot Snakes song I've ever heard. The vocals are freaking crazy and off the wall, and the guitars just continually spiral out of control. And then this song is kinda after the family party where you're hitting that toilet brim really hard. You know, blah, throwing up because you drank too much. The next 3-song block is where we get some of the most, like, classic sounding Hot Snake songs. These next 3 songs are just fresh and punky. Though this is where I hear most of the Obbits influence, these 3 songs are kind of like the singles, the meat of the album. These songs are here for those of us who are really missing Suicide Invoice and Automatic Midnight. Here's where the songs really start to virally get stuck in your head. Jericho Sirens, the title track song, just has some of the coolest screams in it and just like the catchiest freaking chorus. Ridiculously catchy and a great song to name as your title track. And then the album kind of picks back up with the song Having Another, and the noise punk riffing comes back with a vengeance. And then Death Doula hits so hard like a freaking wall of riff. Death Doula is this really like smirking rock and roll song, and it's just got this freaking browy brooding attitude. It really does not like your face. I'm quoting the lyrics. I'm not telling you that I don't like your face. I love your face. I promise. Even though I can't see it, I just know that I love the face I'm looking at right now. Because actually, literally, my camera is turned around and I'm looking at my own face. Tricked ya. Tricked you good. But yeah, this song, Death Doula, it sounds super full and it's very pounding. And the second half of this song is just super awesome. I love how they start adding some really dissonant high lead stuff that is a little reminiscent of Drive Like Jehu even. And it just kind of all amalgamates into just an awesome ending for a song. And the last 2 songs on the record just provide some very high octane punk jamming. With Death of a Sportsman being the final track on the album, it's got some super epic chord progressions. This song also holds one of the most interesting bridges on the album. Bass synth that kind of comes in for a second, and I think there's maybe some keyboards, or maybe they just are gonna hit like a sound clip pedal. I don't really know what's going on, but there's this really like high noon, like guns at high, a duel at high noon kind of feeling to the guitars here. I'm having trouble describing it, okay? It's just crazy, weird sounding. I love it. But after that bridge, you kind of really feel the energy build up, and the song kind of goes out in style, kind of like a At the Drive-In song or something. So yeah, coming down to the verdict here, yes, this was another classic Hot Snakes record. Post-hardcore finally being done right in 2018. I'm a first wave post-hardcore kind of guy. I surf the first wave of post-hardcore. And whether or not you like first wave post-hardcore, that's fine, but this is all that I personally wanted to hear. The whole album progresses well, and it drops off a little bit here and there of everything I wanted to hear in a Hot Snakes record. And of course, these guys are getting older and their ferocity isn't there 1000%. I will admit that. But honestly, none of these guys are holding anything back from my perspective. And after hearing the singles, at first I was like, oh, is this going to sound a little bit too much like Obbits? Like, I just didn't want, like, I love Obbits, okay? But I just didn't want, like, a muddy transition. I really wanted this to sound like Hot Snakes, and they freaking pulled it off. For me, Hot Snakes is the best single-note groove band that ever existed. Literally, when I sometimes craft riffs for my band, whenever I have I have a little bit of guitar input here and there, but whenever my guitar input comes in, literally when I'm riffing and jamming, 80% of the time I've got Hot Snakes in the back of my mind for how to make a good, beefy, just delicious, awesome, groovy riff. I highly recommend this record. It fits perfectly into the Hot Snakes discography. It really does not feel like a 14-year gap at all. They didn't just get their feet wet. They dove in head first. Thanks for watching the video. If you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up. You can give me a thumbs down. I always say that. I don't care. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Whatever kind of thumb you want to give me. That came out wrong. But whatever. What I do on my channel is I just recommend you new music. So maybe you'll find a couple new bands you like. So subscribe today and you can be a chew too. Goodbye. See ya.